The holiday season is here, and for most people, it's the most joyous time of the year. But if you're struggling with something, this can be the most difficult time of the year. But today, maybe we got a little plan that'll help us all get through it. Let's start the meeting.
Whatever you're going through, you will get through it because you're here. And that means you are not alone. This is the Meaningful Meeting. Now your host, Ace Cannon.
Yeah, it can be tough this time of year. It just depends on what you're going through, what you're experiencing when it comes to the holidays. That's coming up on today's edition of the Meaningful Meeting. But we got to start with a thank you. Well, first we got to start with, if you're new here, let's establish some ground rules. My name is Ace. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a professional. I'm not any of those things. I'm just a guy who hosts a radio show, some podcasts, that I've been going through a lot of stuff in my life. So I know some things. I'm not a therapist, but I've been doing a lot of therapy. And sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't. But my theory is that we all come here together every week and just share a little bit, one with another. You share through comments, you share through DMs, you share through emails, I share through just thoughts and ideas. You don't have to agree. You don't have to take any of this in. But if it gives you a little piece of hope to get through the week, that's why we're here. So, second, thank you. Thank you for experiencing this every week, because it's a very personal thing to me. And like I've talked about before, I do this as much for the idea that if there's something that I do that helps make your day better, your week better, your life better, then that makes me feel better about myself. So it's very self-serving in that way, as much as it doesn't seem that way sometimes. But thank you, because a couple of big things have been happening. One, your feedback has led me to make a decision. I would like to do this before the end of the year, but I know that oftentimes I get excited about stuff and try to rush, and I have just too many things going on right now. So there is going to be, I don't know what else to call it as of right now, but it's a live edition of the Meaningful Meeting, an in-person edition of the Meaningful Meeting. I don't know what that's going to look like, but I do know sometime after the first of the year. I would like to do it in January of 2024. And I'm kind of beginning to formulate it almost as a speech, as a presentation. Could be visual aids involved. I don't know. Could be Q&A. I don't know. I don't know what form it's going to be in, but thank you for all of your feedback, saying you would love to do some type of live edition of the Meaningful Meeting. It could be fun. It could be interesting. It also is very frightening because I don't know what that looks like, and I've never done anything like that before, so I'll have to pull something like that together. So I'm excited about that, and I just appreciate your feedback, and I appreciate those of you who've said that last week's edition of the Meaningful Meeting, or 2 weeks ago, the last edition of the Meaningful Meeting, I haven't heard to go back and check it out, because it started with a plan, with a path, and just kind of things began to develop as we started, and it kind of took its own path. And I'm hoping that's what I'm supposed to be doing here every week, helping you, just speaking from the heart. One other thing, thank you. I know this isn't everybody, but if it was you in some fashion, thank you, because I haven't talked about this a lot on the show, although we've made fun of it and talked about it a lot, I guess. But there's a documentary being done about my band, Charity Case. It's raised like $1.3 million for Ace and TJ's Green Kids and Ace and TJ Charities over the course of 20 plus years. We haven't done a show in 4.5 years. And we're doing a show December 9th. It's called The Documentary Concert. The documentary will end with footage from this particular show. And I was terrified of putting a show on, because I didn't know if anybody would want to come. And yeah, we did. General admission tickets were free, and VIP tickets were $25 a piece. And we sold out 50 VIP tickets in a day. We put another 25 on sale. We sold those out in a day, and then we put another 10 on sale. We sold those out, and now we don't have any more room. And all the general admission tickets are gone. It's not only is it a sellout, I'll explain to you how this works. We have given out more tickets than we have room for. Now you say, why would you do that? Everybody doesn't get in. Well, not everybody will show up because they're free tickets. So you have to allow, when you give out free tickets, about 20% of the people don't come because they're free. They're not out anything if they decide not to go to the show that day, that night, whatever. But thank you, because now we're some 3.5 weeks before the show. And it's sold out, so to speak. And that's pretty awesome. It's a great feeling. So thank you for that. But the reason we're here today for the Meaningful Meeting is to talk about the holidays. I made very few notes today because this is one of those things that comes, straight from the heart. Because having been a child of divorce, having been through a divorce, having been through the death of a child, I know how hard this time of year can be. Now, a lot of my experiences today, when it comes to the holidays, will be based around the death of my daughter and learning to cope with that and learning to work with that throughout the holidays. But a lot of them come from, being divorced and having a Christmas celebration. A lot of them come from, last year was the first time I never had my mom around at Christmas because my mom passed away last year. So that's kind of the basis of this today, because the bottom line is I know the holidays are hard. The holidays are very difficult. And trying to get out in front of this, Thanksgiving being next week, then Christmas, New Year, it can be really hard when you lose someone and you have to experience that first holiday without them, that first Christmas, that first Thanksgiving without that person that you love so much being there. That's a tough thing to get through. So how do you do that? Okay, here's one thing that I know that's important to me because it's always been important to me even as a kid. Those holiday traditions. There's something about those living on, despite the fact that someone's not there, that makes me feel like they're still here. I think a lot of people would look at that and go, well, without so-and-so here, that just doesn't matter if we do that anymore. It matters more that you do that now. I'll give you an example. I'll give you a couple of examples, but here's the first. I think this started around the time my daughter was 9 years old, 9 or 10. But Thanksgiving night, for whatever reason, one year, after we'd done Thanksgiving and all that stuff, we watched Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It just happened to be coming on, or she wanted to see it or whatever. She watched Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Loved it. And for whatever reason, every Thanksgiving, once everything was kind of done, she settled in at night and she watched Ferris Bueller's Day Off. So she died 3 years ago in July. And I made it a point. Whether I get through it or not, even if I fall asleep, whatever the case may be, I'm going to watch Ferris Bueller's Day Off every year on Thanksgiving night, no matter what. I've done it every year. One year I fell asleep like halfway through. I woke up for the end of it. I think it's important to keep those traditions alive because there's a connection there. In 2020, in 2021, in 2022, I watched Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Every time those words, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, pop up on that screen for the first time, I can't help but smile. And yeah, it tugs at my heart. First time, I cried several times while watching it, sitting there watching it by myself. But there's something about it that it's like, hey, hey, I'm right here with you, like I would be if you were here. I didn't let you down this year. I got it done. It's a silly thing, but it meant a lot to her. It means a lot more to me now. Little things like my dad, who died 12 years ago, coming up on 13 years ago. My dad, every year used to call us on Christmas Eve morning. And there was a race to the first person to call and say, Christmas Eve gift. And something that I've continued to do with my kids. He would say it before my parents divorced, he would say it to us. And Christmas Eve gift means if you're the first person to say it to somebody, they're supposed to let you open a gift. Now, there were never any gifts open. It just kind of became a thing that we did. My mom was big every year on making these chocolate candies, these chocolate balls, like a lot of people call them Buckeyes. And for my son, for Cade, she made every year Oreos dipped in white chocolate. His absolute favorite. She made 2 batches, one for everyone, and then a separate one that she would set aside for Cade to have because they were his favorites. Those are traditions that we get together and make sure that we do them every year. We keep that alive. And I still have her handwritten recipe. And why is it important? Because it gives you a connection to the person. In a way, keeping that tradition alive keeps that person a part of your festivities every year. And it makes me feel like we've done a good thing. You know, my mom would be proud to know that we did the chocolate balls and we did the Oreos covered in white chocolate. And I know my daughter smiles every year that I watch Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It's tough, man. I'll tell you, it's tough. There are going to be moments, especially if it's your first time through, there are going to be moments. It's hard. And I don't care how long it's been. It's still difficult. It's hard. And I know that at some point, maybe when Ferris Bueller's Day Off ends, it'll make me cry. That's okay. But here's another thing. Just when a moment comes, just lean into it a little bit. It's okay. If you keep trying not to experience that moment, it's only going to make it worse long term. And I think it's important to talk about the people, not incessantly, but share stories, remember experiences. You know, a lot of times at the holidays, we end up laughing about the same things every year. Something triggers a memory and somebody, that's just like the time, so just like the time Peyton did this, or just like the time Peyton did that. You remember that Christmas? And don't shy away, because I think, again, experiencing those stories again together, sharing those stories, talking about those thoughts and those memories. Not only is it a great thing for the holidays, it's great to build those memories with friends and family, but it's also great to be reminded of those times where they were there and it was joyous, because that's what the holidays are supposed to be. Share those stories. Laugh. Be joyous. It's hard. I know it's hard. It's hard not to be overwhelmed with sadness. I know if you're divorced and learning to cope with your kids not being there for part of the time, it's hard not to be overwhelmed with failure the first few times that you experience that split at Christmas. It can be extremely difficult. But when you do have those moments with them, be joyous, be happy, live those traditions, keep those things alive, share in those moments together. I'll give you another tip. If you're missing someone this year at the holidays, write to them. If you've watched or listened to the radio show or the podcast for a long time, you know that when my daughter was born, I started a book. And it was essentially a journal of her life and experiences that we had along the way. And my goal was one day when she got married, I would give her these collections of journals. Theory being, this life that you've experienced is now over. You're starting a new life. Between me and you, here's something for you. So you know what this has been like for me to experience your life with you, your first life. Now I'll never have that opportunity, but I still on Christmas, and I should do it more often. Therapists have told me to do it. My wife has told me to do it. I feel better when I do it, but sometimes it's hard. But on Christmas, I will sit down Christmas Day at some point and write to her. And again, it goes back to something I've talked about before. There's something about the physical nature of doing something, the physical nature of writing. And I don't know, it's not the same to me when you email. It's a little bit different. if you were to type something out, it just doesn't, it's not the same experience as sitting down and having to physically do something. But just try it one time. A Christmas letter to the one you're missing. A Christmas letter to this person that you're missing. Just try it. Whatever you're thinking, whatever you're missing about them. Again, there's something about physically getting that out of your body, putting that on paper, that I think is a little bit of relief. And finally, this may be one of the most important things. And maybe it's because it's always been an important part of my life when I was growing up as an adult with my kids, with the radio show. I think it helps you to help someone else who's struggling during the holidays. Almost as a way to honor the person that you're missing. There is no doubt that helping someone, whether you know them or not, makes you feel good about yourself. That will lift your spirits. That will help you. If you've never done it, try it. I'll give you an example. One of the things that I always think about is through Breaking and Entering Christmas, we used to every year quietly, my family would take a family. Not one of the ones we helped on the radio. We would just pick another family and do something. And as my kids got older, it became fun for me to do it in different ways. So, for example, one of the times I remember a few days before Christmas, my kids and I went to Dunkin' Donuts and bought a dozen donuts. And I had an email regarding a family of 4 who needed some help at the holidays. And what we did was we just went to Target and got a $500 Target gift card for this family. And I've never really talked about this before on the thing. That just occurred to me. But I'm just sharing an example. I'm not bragging. Please understand that. But I think about this every year, and it's very important. And I pulled it up with my kids, and I said, here's the deal. You're going to go to that door, go up to that apartment, knock on, be right here. Knock on the door. When they open the door, you say, Merry Christmas, hand them the donuts. And then when they take them with the gift card in an envelope taped to the top, you just say, Merry Christmas, and run back out of the car, and we're going to take off. They're never going to know it's us. It's going to be awesome. And so they did. When they got back in the car, Peyton was so excited. She was like, that was fantastic. I loved it. And since, both of my kids went on to help with Breaking and Entering Christmas. Cade's going to help this year. He helps every year now, and he's 21. And it's just a really fun thing to do. But it always makes me feel good. It always warms my heart. So if you're missing someone, help someone else. Because that'll make you feel good. It'll make you feel better about yourself. I promise you that. I promise you that. Keep those traditions alive. Acknowledge that the person is not there and share those stories and laugh about those good times, the joyous times when they were there. Write to them and help someone else as a way to honor the person that you're missing. Help someone else as a way to honor the struggle that you're going through. And I promise you helping someone else will help you. Because remember, one day you will tell the story of what you've overcome, what you're going through, how you've overcome what you're going through now. And it will become part of someone else's survival guide. I'll see you next week.
Whatever you're going through, you're not alone. You are a part of the Meaningful Meeting, presented by the Radio Network. Copyright ATJ Inc. 2022.